Question 820. Don't make B spit. Question 820. What is the most embarrassing thing that you have had to explain to a clueless figure of authority and or respect?
My sweating problem I had to explain to the general manager when I went and asked for more fucking work uniforms than what was designated. That wasn't a nice conversation, but...
There's something, Dave, but I don't feel comfortable even talking about it. So it's just, if you don't mind, I'll sit this question out.
That's okay. Have you got anything else that's not as bad?
No, but yeah, there is something. It's personally embarrassing to me that I've had to explain to employers, and let's just say it's to do with my medical condition, and that's all I'm willing to say on it.
I'll tell you what mine is, and mine's stupid. We had a very, very pompous IT manager, and he could not format a disk. And he sat there for half an hour trying to find instructions on how to format this. And this is this is pre-internet. Okay, so he couldn't just go and look it up. And he sat there and he's looking through manuals and he's just sitting there and he starts mumbling about. I said, "Do you want to format a disk? You just do this." And I just loved it. I was fucking beaming. I was very young. Manda.
Amanda?
I'm here, I'm fucking thinking.
Sorry, I thought you didn't hear, sorry.
No, that's why I was looking up. My thinking, my pensive face.
Pensive, yes.
Probably,
Dum, dum,
I had to explain to someone that women don't pee out of their vaginas. That was the fact that adult men don't understand that. Actually, I've met adult women who don't fucking know that. So,
there's a lot of people that do not know that.
yeah. that was an awkward conversation.
Was that mostly
really
in Georgia?
need to get out of the South, honey.
It's like, was that mostly in Georgia? Because in Georgia, or from my school, the sex education was, this is how plants reproduce. Don't have sex.
Mm-hmm. Don't have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how plants reproduce. Don't have sex.
Don't worry. You don't need to know how it works. The man will know.
Oh, no. See, not even that. Like, they had us all in the same classroom, and they told us don't have sex because God doesn't want you to have sex, and you'll figure it out once you get married.
But the Bible says you're meant to go and have sex. Lots and lots of sex.
They don't listen to that part
Procreate.
of the Bible.
But it's only in marriage, and teenagers can't get married.
Exactly. Well,
unless their parents let them and get married to like 40-year-olds. Fucking.
And usually those are shotgun weddings.
You've seen some of the age people got married in biblical times.
You had to get married early, or you died off.
Yeah.
There are people here that do use that as an excuse to marry young women. Like I know someone who married a 16-year-old because that's how it was done in the Bible. But you know,
we were looking up things about marriage laws and about we're looking up drinking laws in the States. This is how depressing it is, right? Because most of the states, or lots of the states, have drinking laws that explicitly allow you to drink if your spouse says so, if you're underage.
There's a lot of laws in the States that are if your spouse says so, but they're usually aimed for women, unfortunately.
I'm willing to, and again, not that I'm going to make a big defense of Islam here. I bet they're the same sort of people who will defend those laws, who are the same sort of people who will criticize Muslims for Prophet Muhammad having an underage bride.
Exactly, they would.
Yeah. They got such a fucking double standard on that. If they even in read, or they're just too lazy to read their own fucking history, or any history in general whatsoever of that period.
Yes.
Because let's just say young children in Europe were getting married off at similar sort of ages at the time.
The Lone Wanderer says the Naruto run, which I have absolutely no idea what that is.
It's the fucking stupid run with your hands sort of behind you when you run. You've seen it in anime.
Oh yes, I know exactly. Yeah, okay. Computer chip
fucking stupid.
Computer chip production says there was an IT manager that didn't know how to install a service pack on a computer. Lone Wanderer says I have so many. Donna says, Mum, it is so many times I've had to explain to student nurses that there are 2 holes. They say, I didn't think you're ready to catheterize someone. Oh, I said, I don't think you're ready to catheterize someone. Where the fuck are they going? Oh, it's going to hurt to do it wrong.
No, actually, it hurts more if they do it right.
Yeah, it hurts more if they do it right.
I never minded having a catheter.
I was going to say.
Well, I never minded having a catheter removed. I was
urethra.
under when it was inserted. I've no idea whether or not it was painful going in.
You've seen a catheter versus a tampon? Like, there's a big difference. We're fine with that shit, so, same. Dave doesn't understand vaginas.
Yay! Education!
No, but my point is I imagine that doesn't get pokey.
Neither do I. Neither do I. Neither do I. That's why I'm single.
That's why I'm single.
Remember, Dave, we don't want this to become an educational stream now.
I know. Not allowed.
Are we gonna, no. Give everyone like a map to where the clit is or something?
It's not fucking hard.
What's clit?
Apparently it is, sweetie. Apparently it is.
It's not the clit that is the problem. It's not the clit that guys have trouble finding.
Hold on, guys. We have not had the parents' permission slips back from the live chat yet to give sex education. Okay, so.
So we'll continue with the information that we have, which is that clit doesn't exist.
All right, so class, this is how plants reproduce. Don't have sex.
Okay.
This is how plants. The only thing Joan says, the only thing I can think of is telling a teacher in high school that I really am mixed, even if she doesn't show. Oh, this was the other one. The doctor had to explain DNA to my mother when she tried to reject me because I did not have dark skin. And the Lone Wanderer. Sammy says, the most embarrassing thing I had to say growing up was that I was a Jehovah's Witness, which was why I wasn't saluting the flag, singing the national anthem, voting, etc. That's evil.
I'm not going to obviously defend the JWs, but on the other hand, I wouldn't salute the flag or sing the national anthem anyway, so...
That's because you're a... Yeah.
Because I'm a fucking... Yeah, say that, just say I'm a fucking commie.
I was tempted.
I got called one before in school, or I got told I was the least American person that half some of my teachers have ever met. I'm like, that's great, thank you.
Crafty said, that's not nearly as bad as the Irish system used to give. Lol, look that shit up. It's one of those things where, okay, I'm going to touch on sex education here. I really think kids should be given a little fucking mirror at some point. Just fucking go work some stuff out. Yeah. Ask questions.
I mean,
you're allowed to have a look.
But they're told that they shouldn't. That's a no spot, and no one should ever see that.
I actually almost felt bad for the first teacher I had who gave me the SE lesson, because he was clearly embarrassed by the whole thing, and it's like he should not have been giving those lessons, because he just was not. He clearly was uncomfortable with it, and he was trying not to go like red in the face when he said words like penis and whatever. And I'm like,
well, the thing was.
We thought. Now I'm gonna say, as a kid, we thought that was hilarious that he clearly didn't know what he was talking about. But looking back on it, you kind of feel, this is the person supposed to teach us.
Mm.
And obviously, he's in that position where and it's not necessarily something on him, but he's obviously not been educated enough himself to give those lessons. And he's trying to teach us. It's like.
Oh yeah.
I mean that okay. I think it's got better here since I was at school, but yeah, it was some fucking pretty awful sex education. But I mean, obviously not as bad as it is in the United States, but it was bad either way you look at it.
Yeah. Beth. Oh, go on.
Wait. My first sex education class was led by our gym coach. And
that gym coach. Wait, that gym coach.
No, that's not. I mean, my gym coach. It was later sex education class with that gym coach.
Ours was too. Yeah.
This is where the contortionism thing came into effect, was it?
Ours was not even mandatory.
But no, it was mandatory in our school, but we were Connecticut, so. The first class, he had us all write down a question on a slip of paper, and he decided to read them off. So he's just like sitting there reading through them, and they're fucking ridiculous when he gets to one that's like, how does that big thing fit in that little hole? Like, it was hilarious because he was super embarrassed. And he had been our gym coach for like fucking years. So it was weird. But that just reminded me. Jeff that.
Yeah,
different gym coach. Not gymnastics coach, gym coach.
Actually, Amanda, there was very similar exercise, very similar exercise that was done in my school around that, and people would ask the most ridiculous fucking questions, and it'd be, and you know, they weren't necessarily even on like the act of sex itself, but on like someone asked something about relating mildly to BDSM or something like that, and which the teacher was clearly not fucking qualified to deal with. But all jokes aside, all joking aside about that, but even things like, you know, kinks and fetishes, at some level, I think that people need educating on that in a way, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm being dead serious on that. I mean, you know, and I'm not expecting, you know, to get like an encyclopedic knowledge of it when you're at school, but maybe, I mean, you know, that's something, again,
the problem is
that is something, you know.
No, the problem you have is religion at every level here. Because if you give them the resources that they can answer the questions, it means they've got to have a book that they can study, that is written by the government, that outlines details, and that will then be called a manual. Alright, and religions will then turn around and say, the government has got a sex manual they are teaching to children.
Not even
Why is it gotta be a manual anyway, huh?
Dave, not even the churches and that in this country. It'd be the fucking Daily Mail and the Sun who just do that.
Oh yeah,
sensational shit.
Then
the religion can come in on it and start going mad.
Okay, Lone Wanderer says, has anyone ever wondered why it's usually the PE teacher that's the sex ed teacher?
No, because they're at the bottom of the totem pole of education.
Well, I think they just got the time.
Do it.
But the thing about my schools is it was not mandatory, so you could actually opt out of it. The only person that opted out of it was my cousin, who's Mormon, and they made her go to the library and copy down the dictionary as punishment for missing sex ed. That's
evil. Right, although the sex ed was probably really shit sex ed.
It was. Once again, this is how plants reproduce. No sex.
That's not to miss. Right, the Lone Wanderer says, okay, someone educate me. What's the difference between a kink and a fetish, or are they interchangeable? Greg? Jeff?
Don't ask me to educate you on this shit, just because I make the suggestion. Because I'm just saying maybe that should be possibly explained to a certain degree at a younger, and because you know most people have them on some level or another, and you know, and there is a certain shame. You know, sometimes you're just shamed for having these kind of ideas that you know. And I'm not saying that you should have blooming lessons on fucking, I don't know, but you don't have school lessons on BDSM or some shit like. No, I'm not saying.
But safety in BDSM is important. Yeah, I mean, having lessons on how to tie people up correctly might be a good thing.
Okay, yeah, but not necessarily mandatory for the curriculum. What I'm just saying is maybe some of these things like psychological things or whatever you go through that leads you to these things. People have to figure this stuff out on their own a lot of the time, and they don't know how to deal with it a lot of the time. I think maybe that's something that And I'm not saying it has to be like a deep kind of thing, but just maybe a basic kind of introduction. So just so people aren't necessarily ashamed of something that they feel they have to be ashamed of. You get what I'm saying?
If nothing else, I think they should at least teach that you need a safe word, because even with like just I'm gonna explain how horrible I am. Even with vanilla sex, you need to have a safe word, because sometimes people aren't into it anymore.
Yeah. Well,
What's vanilla sex? What's vanilla sex?
Vanilla sex is just plain old missionary sex. It doesn't involve any kinks. It doesn't involve any fetishes. It's just plain sex.
Ew.
Vanilla.
You're weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
am I weird for knowing what vanilla sex is, or am I weird for not doing vanilla sex? That's the question.
Yeah. I mean, it because into certain things like that, yes. Like anything along certain lines, there's got to be a certain amount of trust as well as consent, especially when you are putting yourself in a position where you really are giving your body over to another person. But I mean, we're going off on a whole different tangent.
I was going to say, we really need to drag this back and get an answer to the actual question from B, and then we can move on.
Yeah, let B answer this question, because I think I've rattled on about this enough.
Beth.
I don't. What was the? Oh, the original question was confessing something to somebody important, right?
And what is the most embarrassing thing you've had to explain to a clueless figure of authority and/or respect?
I don't know, man. If something comes to my mind, I just say it. I don't know how many times I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer for that. I know I had a boss that I was working for this guy. I was managing a store for him, and when I came out, and so I chopped all my hair off, and he kept calling me Butch for like days. And I said, oh, so you finally figured it out. And then 2 days after that, I was fired. Because the excuse was I'm too brash.
Uh-huh.
I'm too harsh.
Brash.
It's an interesting way. That's
an
interesting excuse to get fired from.
Right. And this from a guy who used to walk into my office, because he owned several locations in the area, and he would walk into my office and walk up behind me and like touch my back. Right.
Uh-huh.
Oh God, I wish you lived in the UK. I really do think take that fucking arsehole to an employment tribunal.
Oh, it's better you can turn around and punch him, get him to sack you, and then take him to a tribunal.
Just on what B said there, if you could back that up, you'd walk out well. Let's just put it that way.
If you enjoyed that, please hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. If you think you've got a better answer or just want to tell us how wrong we are, leave a comment down below. Subscribe down here for new questions every day, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on our live shows. If you click over here, you'll see our latest upload. Over here, for what YouTube thinks you'll love the most. And finally, for a complete playlist of all our currently released questions, click here.